As you can see, it's a really nice sunny day, so you probably can't see me much. I'm just on my way out for a rare trip out to some woods. It's been very busy lately with lots of different things going on, so I haven't had a chance to go to the woods yet. But this time of year there's bluebells in the woods, and I love taking photos of them every year, but because I've been so busy I haven't had a chance to get down there. So I'm hoping the bluebells will still be out and that I will get an opportunity to see them. That's better in the shade, but I'll get an opportunity to see the bluebells, but I'll find out when I get to the outskirts of Arundel.
Platform 1 for the 0910 Southern service to Three Bridges. Calling at Barnum, Ford, Arundel, Amberley, Pulborough, Billingshurst, Christ's Hospital, Horsham, Crawley and Three Bridges. Platform 1 for the 0910 Southern service to Three Bridges. Chichester, this is Chichester. The train now standing at platform 1 is the 0910 Southern service to Three Bridges.
Okay, I've just arrived in Arundel now. Just coming out of the train station, and just around this corner is Arundel. For those who haven't seen it, just off in the background behind me, there's the castle, cathedrals around there. So yeah, so I've arrived in Arundel. Little pheasant just down there somewhere. They're nice colourful birds. Arundel Castle. I can highly recommend that if you haven't been to Arundel that you come visit. If you have been to Arundel, come back. There's a cathedral. I don't know how much the wind is affecting the audio. And castle again. Myself and Abby, my wife, we went into the castle a few weeks back, middle of April. So I'm just walking along what I think is a reasonably short walk, but whenever I say to people it's just down here, people always tell me this isn't a short walk. So it's just a few miles down this road from Arundel train station down towards Warningcamp. That's where the Bluebell Woods are, or the woods that have bluebells in at this time of year. So just have a look, see if there's anything to see. So that's where I'm heading. This is how busy I like life to be, as a kind of maximum busyness. I used to live up on that hill up there, in a house up there. And I used to catch the school bus from here. Used to be quite lucky because the bus used to go down the road the direction I'm facing and come back on the bus stop side. So it meant that I was able to, if you missed the bus going down this way that we're facing, then you can catch the bus going back out towards Arundel and school. And I used to live up this hill here, which is just a nice gradual slope, so it's quite fun to cycle down. Wasn't quite so much fun to cycle up at times, but it was fun to cycle down. Used to enjoy getting as fast as I could and then leaning forwards and making myself aerodynamic and freewheeling, if I can talk. Christmas cottage and freewheeling down. A lot of this has changed though. This cottage has been here, But this bit here was all sort of more derelict. Didn't have gardens and things, it was all derelict, and used to go into the building and roam around as you do as a child. You go into derelict buildings and you roam around and explore, see what you might find, see what's left. But now it's all turned into quite expensive properties. So I grew up in a council house up this hill. My address was 4 council cottages. So in school, kids would pick on me and try and use that as a way of bullying me, saying, "Oh, you live in a council house, you live in a council house." So although I know, obviously now, that most of these people bullying me lived in council houses, in my head I used to always think, yeah, I live in a council house, I've got council in the property in the name of my address, but this is where I lived. I lived in a council house surrounded by pretty expensive non-council houses, and it's a shame that we don't still have the house up here. But Mum and my stepdad, I think, felt that when myself and my brother, I've got 3 younger brothers, when 2 of us were in secondary school in Littlehampton, it would be easier to move to Littlehampton than have to constantly drive over there and take us to activities and things over there. So this is a bit out of the way, as you can probably tell. It's a bit out of the way, it's nice and quiet. It's a bit out of the way for us to make our own way to certain activities. So if we could, we'd get ourselves to activities. But obviously there's times when you need a parent to take you to the activities. So there used to be different things going on down here in the little fields behind these houses, little sort of fetes and things. And I remember when this house I'm passing now, when that one was built next door to our house, and our house was this one here, which is now Jubilee Cottage, and it didn't look quite like that, didn't have the extension bit. And we used to go round to some friends' houses just down here who used to have a swimming pool in their back garden. We regularly used to see deer and stags all around all these areas here. And I remember in the 80s, I think it was late 80s, there was really, really, really heavy snow, and I've moved on from the higher parts of the bank, but it was as high as the high parts of this bank running along here. And I've got a photo somewhere of my stepdad with a shovel and my nan with a shovel, digging out the snow drifts to try and clear the road so that we could actually get out of the house. In this field here, so that's the view that used to be out the back of where I lived. So over there, there's horses there now, but that view over there, we used to sledge down the hill when it was snowing. We'd sledge down the hill and try not to hit the fence and the hedges and everything at the bottom. And you'd regularly out the back, so my bedroom that I shared with one of my brothers overlooked the back of the house, and so you'd look out over the fields. You could look to the right and you would see Arundel Castle, so you can't now because there's these bits in the way, but you'd see Arundel Castle, you'd see the whole of Arundel, you'd see the train line. You'd look straight out the back and you would see all these fields, and there would be deer in them nearly every day, especially in the morning. nearly at my destination. Been walking about 35 minutes so far. So I just get distracted listening to my surroundings. I know that the wind, I can hear it, is probably annoying, probably affecting the camera. But there isn't far to go now. So I'm just going to walk a little deeper into the woods and explore, take some photos, and I'm sure I will also record some more video. Just walking even deeper into the woods. Just thought I'd let you see around me. There's obviously some kids somewhere around here, being a bit noisy. Other than that, it's very nice and quiet. Right, I'm starting to make my way back from the Bluebell Woods now, but I'm taking a route back through one of my favourite little areas around here, which is a little valley. While walking down this bridleway here, it's been quite disgusting how much dog's mess there is all down the bridleway. So I can understand if a dog runs off into the woods a little bit and does its business, that's one thing, but you'd think an owner would clear up after their dog if it's right in the middle of the path that people and children and what have you all walk. So anyway, that's just a little moan there. I think people should clean up after themselves. It's like when you see rubbish everywhere and you think, well, why should there be all this rubbish? Can't people clean up their own rubbish? So I'm just heading, oh, I heard some sheep, just heading down a reasonably steep slope. So if I fall over, I'm sure that'll make a very good video. And heading to a little valley bit that when I lived around here used to be one of my favourite little areas, because you'd go through the woods and then you'd exit the woods and you'd come out on just this valley that, back then at least, it seemed to be frequently that there wasn't many people around. I think there's more people around nowadays, so more people must know of this area. But back then it regularly seemed to be quiet. I would go and sit in the valley and just sit and chill, and it was nice. So I will try and safely make it down this slope and then let you see the valley when I get to the bottom. Right, this area is one of my favourite areas. I'm now down in the little valley bit. There's sometimes cattle down here, and other wildlife. I've just walked into the sun. So it's frequently quite empty around here. But as you can see, let me turn that way as well. It's just like a long valley bit. I remember when I first took my best friend here, so not long after we'd met each other, I've always come down here, come to Arundel, and noisy aeroplane, and so I used to come here and bring Graham along, my best friend, and I remember the first time I brought him down here into this valley bit, and you walk through the woods and it's quite enclosed and you don't know quite where you're going, or obviously I knew where I was going, but he didn't know where we were going, what we're doing, and then you come out the other side of the woods and it just suddenly opens up and you've got these banks on either side. You've got it's really quiet generally. I know there's aeroplanes going over from time to time, but you've got just natural sounds and rarely many people, which is good. Sometimes you get some people here because it's really quiet. It's a good place to come for a picnic because you can just go and sit on one of the hillsides and enjoy the peace. So sometimes you find people who are here having just sunbathing or just normally sleeping, it seems, around here in the sun. So sorry, just saw a butterfly and but I couldn't get a camera on it quick enough to take a photo. So it's getting a bit windy again, but it's still very, very hot today, and no clouds in the sky. I've got my infrared, my full spectrum camera, which can take infrared and ultraviolet photos if I put a appropriate filter over the end of it, and so I've been taking some photos like that. But something that makes them look quite good is when you just have a few clouds in the background, because then they really stand out and look dramatic against the sky. Oh, there's a bird of prey being attacked by another bird. Let me just see if I can swing this around. Don't know if we can see it now. There was a bird of prey attacking, I assume, going to get some going for what looked like a crow's nest, and the crow was attacking the bird of prey back. I'll have a look back up there again in a minute. Anyway, so I've just come from the valley, walked through here. Now I'm in Monarch's Way. Still very intrigued about what's going on above me. I end up in a place where there's trees, and so it's difficult to see what's going on above me. To see if I can get some pictures. But if I can, I will. Right, there appears to have been a tree has fallen down since I was last here. About a third of the path is missing in this bit, and there's obviously the back end of a tree. And if I was younger, I'd be down there climbing on it all and climbing over there. So I'll let you just hear a bit of the sounds around here. Now, as you've probably noticed, many of my stories involve woodland and stuff like this, because I spend a lot of time enjoying walking in woodland like this. In fact, in the past I've tried to do relaxation stories where I literally walk through the woods and do it live, like saying, you know, take a moment to close your eyes as you have a sense of walking through the woods, and as you hear each footstep and the sounds around you of birds, a train in the distance, an aeroplane in the distance, and the breeze on your face, you can continue to walk and drift and dream deeper and deeper and more comfortably. And as you have a sense of each footstep walking along a dirt track through the woods, you can notice the bluebells, notice the green leaves of the plants around you, notice the trees and the bark on the trees, and really take time to drift comfortably inside your mind. And as you drift comfortably inside your mind, listening to the sounds around you, with occasional warm areas of light on your face, you can continue to comfortably and deeply drift inside and sleep. Drifting comfortably and deeply inside asleep. With each step along that path that you take. And as you relax deeper with each footstep, or perhaps with the sounds around you, you can begin to drift off asleep. So I used to try and do whole stories like that. I'm a bit nearer to the end of this path, so there's a few more sounds of like the cars, and you can hear the train. You couldn't hear that a little way back, but I used to do that kind of thing, walking through different areas like the valley, walking through the woods in different places and at different times of the day, so that you'd have a surround sound experience already, and something on screen that you could follow along to as well. Right, just walking out of the woods now. A lot of crows in this area. They're being quite noisy, so... Oh, and some crickets. So I wonder whether there's any bird of prey knocking around somewhere harassing them. I can't see one, or else I'd be taking a photo of it. But I'm going to keep looking, and if I do see one, I will photograph it. So just walking back to Arundel train station. It's just down this road that I'm walking along. Down there somewhere. It's quite a... well, it's not quite a walk, it's probably a mile or a mile and a half, something like that, from here. I've kind of done a circle, so I've walked from Arundel train station to the cross where the road leads down to the railway track and up to Warningcamp, where I used to live. And so I walked up there, all the way around to the Bluebell Woods, down the other side of the Bluebell Woods, and through the valley, out of the valley down Monarch's Way, and then back joining the road near Wepham area, and now walking back to where I came from.